AP Cram, Calculus AB, Free Response Exam Review. Question 46. Differentiate cosine chain rule. On a certain workday, the rate in tons per hour at which on-processed gravel arrives at a gravel processing plant is modeled by the equation G of t is equivalent to 90 plus 45 times the cosine of t squared over 18, where t is measured in hours and t is either greater than or equivalent to 0 hours or less than equivalent to 8 hours, being that 8 hours typically compromises a normal workday. At the beginning of the workday, that is when t equals 0, the plant has 500 tons of unprocessed gravel. During the hours of operation, when t is between 0 and 8 hours, the plant processes gravel at a constant rate of 100 tons per hour. Find G prime of 5 using correct units. Interpret your answer in the context of the problem. So this is fairly easy. You just have to differentiate this expression. I'll give you a moment to write out your answer. Basically, all you had to do was differentiate G of t and plug in 5 wherever you have t, 5 hours, and you'll get an answer of negative 24.588. But just in case you don't know how to differentiate this expression, let's take a little detour. All right, so you do d dt, you differentiate g of t with respect to t, and if you do that on the left-hand side, you also have to do it on the right-hand side. This should definitely be a plus. So d dt of 90 minus plus 45, the cosine of t squared. So what we're doing here is we're following implicit differentiation, and the expression on the left-hand side, d dt of g of t, just can be rewritten as g prime of t, okay? And again, this is a positive, not a subtraction sign. All right, so now g prime of t is equivalent to d dt of 90 plus d dt of 45 d dt of the cosine of t squared over 18. What we did here is we're differentiating term by term. Sorry for that scribble. So we're taking each term, and in the second term, we just factored out the constant 45 because constants don't get differentiated, okay? All right. Now, the derivative of a standalone constant is going to be 0. When I say constants don't get differentiated, I don't mean it in that way. I misspoke. I mean constants with attached to an expression, not standalone constants. All right, so now we can go ahead and using the chain rule, we can use u substitution, and we're going to let t squared over 18 be u. So then the chain rule would say that d du of the cosine of u, and then we're going to also take du. Okay, we're going to multiply d du, the cosine of u, by du. And so we all know that the derivative of cosine is going to be negative sign. That's where we get this negative from. But this again should be a positive because I accidentally wrote negative at the beginning. So we factored the negative on the sign all the way out here. Now we're taking the derivative of the inner expression. So d dt of t squared over 18. All right, so now we have negative d dt of t squared over 18 times 45, the sine of t squared over 18. And we can just simplify 45 over 18, and that's going to become 5 over 2. And then when we take the derivative of 2t, that's going to be, t squared, that's going to become 2t. And so we get 5t because the 2 that we're going to get here will cancel with the 5 over the 2 in the denominator that's left over after we simplify 45 over 18 and get 5 over 2. So our final answer is going to be negative 5t, the sine of t squared over 18. Okay, and then if we plug in 5 hours, we're going to get negative 5 times the sine of 25 over 18. And we're going to get negative 25 if we plug in t times the sine of 25 over 18. And it's going to give us our negative 24.58, or depending on how you round it, a negative 24.587. Okay, so what does this mean in the context of the problem? It means that the rate at which the gravel is arriving is decreasing at a rate of 24.588 tons per hour at time t equals 5 hours. So the instantaneous rate of decrease in the arrival of gravel at 5 hours is